Hey guys, welcome back to the Life of a Gentleman podcast. As you can see, if you've been a listener to the show for a while, we've been on a bit of a hiatus, but with good reason. We've revamped, rebranded, we're back, better than ever, with more content that you guys are going to love. Today, I'm joined with my co-host, Anton, and we're going to discuss something that a lot of people reach out to us in our social media and also through our email. And that is how to get involved in a custom clothing business, because there's a lot of guys, let's face it, if you're watching this right now, you love fashion and you'd love to capitalize on doing what you love and get involved in perhaps selling clothing or accessories, something like that. Anton, I'll pass it to you. I'm sure people have reached out to you with the same level of interest. How did you get involved in this, right?
Right. So it's not only do people reach out, I think it's a dream for a lot of people, like coming up, we're all about the same age. You came up during the time of a lot of little boutique brands, just Aniche, right? We had D-Lo NYC, there were all these little brands that were around. Yes, right. We had Cross Colors, which was probably, you figure Cross Colors, Jabot, and Fat Farm were probably some of your, not dress clothes, but, your around the way clothes, but they were brands, right? And you say to yourself, like, I like this, but I could do this better myself. And I think that's where a lot of us struggle, because you just don't have the access. You didn't have the reach to be able to grasp what you needed to do in order to be able to get into the business. And I think that's a lot of the issue for many. They just don't have the access to be able to make their own clothing, because most people just aren't tailors.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was funny, graduating out of high school in the 90s and moving into the 2000s, there was a lot of T-shirt brands too, that people mentioned or tried to get started, get off the ground. Actually, my brother had one locally here in Michigan that got pretty popular for a while, Tay G.
Shout to Tay G.
Yeah, right. And, he got featured in a lot of newspapers and things like that, and went out to the Magic Show in Las Vegas. But
the Magic Show was huge. The Magic Show was huge.
It can be a springboard for sure.
Yes.
But the thing is, here's the tricky part. We're not talking about T-shirts anymore. As we grow and evolve and we've gotten older and matured, so has our sense of style. Sure, I've always been somebody who wore suits. I think you were too. But now we're in suits more than we're in our casual clothing. And so when I started this business, what I wanted to do was be a reflection of where I was at in life. And I think a lot of other guys too are there also. And they want to start something, like a suit line or more upscale clothing, not just a T-shirt brand. Because, let's face it, a T-shirt, all you got to do is go down to a local screen printer and you're in business. That's pretty simple. Not to diminish what other people are doing, but it's a little bit more difficult when you try to break into this industry of sartorial menswear, because you're talking about how do you get a full suit made, shirts, custom shirts, etc. You can get on Google all you like, and I did that, and a lot of the information is simply not there. Right.
And I think to your point, T-shirts are T-shirts, right? And like you said, not to diminish any, it's a lot of T-shirt brands out there that are doing their thing, and we applaud them. But what we're talking about is an aspect of fashion that a lot of people just don't know about. And with a T-shirt, you don't small, medium, large, extra large, bang, 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 from there. And that's basically it. And I think that's part of why many people go that direction, because you don't really have to do anything. You have to source a decent T-shirt, right? Source a decent screen printer, and you're off to the races, And I'm not saying that, I'm not minimizing, the work that goes into that, but that's about it. And when you get into kind of this realm, there's a bit more that you have to take into consideration. Are you going to be an outfit that just carries sizes, right? Are you just going to go with a standardized size with a pant that you can just hem? Or are you going to go full custom? which is really, in my opinion, and I apologize if I'm wrong, that's where it is. You anybody can go to a big brand store or a men's suiting store and grab something off the rack, and you're going to look decent in it. I'm not trying to say that you won't. You're going to look decent in it, but there's something completely different when you start going into the full custom, made to measure realm.
Yeah, most definitely. The biggest hurdle with that is not only where are you going to source the materials, if you're not a trained tailor yourself, and you're going to be doing this bespoke, sewing up every last item for everyone. Those are some of the hurdles. But another big hurdle is, just like you said, if you are going to offer to somebody the custom experience, you have to learn how to measure. You have to know how to do that yourself. You have to have enough knowledge of the tailoring industry to even venture out to do that, or the results could absolutely be disastrous, even if you do link up with somebody who can help you do the production of the garments. So it's just a lot to think about.
Yeah. When we talk, not during podcast stuff, when we talk about, bringing other people on and things of that nature who can met the largest hurdle that we talk about is, do they know enough about the construction of a suit, the components of a suit, the measuring of a suit, just to be able to speak, somewhat intelligently. We're not saying it's rocketry, people.
Right.
It's not rocket science. Yeah. But there's people out there who are really serious about suiting. We got fabric snobs and all kinds of things that and there's nothing wrong with being a fabric. I love fabric. Richie knows I love fabric. Yep. But if you can't speak intelligently enough, right? Not saying you have to know, thread counts, what kind of sheep it was. It's, its lineage and all that, the wool that it came from. You don't have to know that much, but just how to break down a suit, what the components are, what the parts are, what the pieces are. That's also an aspect of it that kind of makes it, I guess, a little bit intimidating, for people who might be trying to get into the particular sector.
Yeah, it does. And is also, this is a real cottage industry. Even if you're somebody who's on Instagram and you follow a lot of custom clothiers, what you're going to notice is there's a lot of guys that are really dominating this industry coming out of Europe. Right. In the US, there's not a lot of smaller brands, if you will, that are doing this that you could just rattle off, you know what I mean? Things like that. So so that adds a little bit of mystique to things too, because I've had people that want to do this really questioning, is it possible for them to break into the industry? Because it's kind of like it's boxed in to a certain amount of people, and it's nearly impossible to break in. But what I'm hoping that what we can do moving forward through the podcast and through the relationships and partnerships that we have going is maybe kind of pull back the curtains a little bit for people who are seriously interested.
Right.
And
seriously
that's the key word, seriously.
Right.
And also they have to understand that they'll have to have, like we said, a level of investment into the education to get involved in this, but also there's a financial investment too to get into this industry. It's not like you can just pop in here for $100 and you're off to the races like you could with a T-shirt. Not to keep going back to that, but it's the most relatable
thing, right? It really is. It's really how most people start in clothing, right? Some of your bigger brands all started off with T-shirts. It's dope to put a graphic on a T-shirt and boom, you're out there, and then you grow from there. And then you saw how even like a brand like Sean John, right? Yeah. They started out really Sean John with T-shirts and sweatshirts to begin with, right? Yeah. I still have to this day a Sean John suit, but that was the evolution, So once you rolled along, once Diddy, shout to Diddy, once he was able to established, and it's probably easier for Diddy, of course, because he was already established in the music
You're talking
industry.
about the capital too, though. The capital,
yeah,
that you need
exactly,
to get going.
Exactly. But he started off what he knew, which was, T-shirts, sweats, things of that nature. And then he was able to branch out to a full suiting line, which he really had some respectable suits, I must say, during the time. I think the last time I bought probably was, I don't know, mid 2000s, something like that, know.
Yeah,
but he had some decent suits. Yeah, it was a minute ago. It probably had a few buttons on it. It was a little wide in the leg, but you understand what I'm saying. But you start off in it as a T-shirt and then you grow. But I think what we're trying to say is that the world has gotten a little bit smaller and things have gotten a little bit more accessible. Mm-hmm. And it's not accessible to the point where, you can just walk in and say, hey, I want to start my own line. There is a learning curve. There are a lot of things that you have to be considered along the way. But it is at least a reachable goal for someone who is serious about, entering this realm.
And you know what? And to kind of relate to what you said, starting with a smaller product and then expanding to a full line, that's exactly, my story. That's how I started. Just started with lapel pins. A small little item right there, and then expanded. And that's the thing. Some people want to run really fast. Sometimes you got to crawl, then walk, then run, and then sprint. So the thing is, if you really look at it, and, perhaps I went really slow, but I was cautious because I wanted to respect the industry and get all the knowledge I could. But I started back in 2013, 2014 with lapel pins. Right. We didn't really introduce the custom suits until 2020. Right. So, I had enough respect for the industry to really learn, talk to a lot of people, get mentorship, and, and foster those relationships over those 6 years to where something like that could blossom, And
legitimately, I guess it could have been a little intimidating, right?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It wasn't something that you wanted to jump into right out the gate. I think that would have been to the detriment of the brand, quite honestly. Right. If I would have started out in 2014 and said, hey, guys, listen up. My name's Rich, and I got suits for you. I don't know how many I would have sold. You know what I mean? Right. Just realistically, because the first thing people would have said, who is this guy? Number two, why in the world would I want to buy a suit from him? You know what I mean? Could have had the greatest materials in the world, but you have to, I think, build some brand recognition, some traction, customer base that respects what you're doing and that can vouch.
It legitimizes what you're going to do. Yes,
they can vouch for you. Like, no, you know what? They have quality products. Everything else has been quality. Let me try a shirt. Let me try a suit. Let me try their shoes and see, and then go from there. That people can see a track record is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I think that's what, I guess, people who are thinking about getting into this business or this industry have to understand is that, one, your inner circle is probably not going to be enough to support you, right? At least, they'll get you going, they'll buy, but, how often is your uncle, your cousin, your best friend is going to buy a suit, right? Probably not that often. So you either are going to have to have a brand presence that was already established, or you are a influencer or a person who's been out there, who's been in other suits, or who is in this industry that can kind of show you, well, at least if we know nothing else, this dude really dresses or this girl really dresses, and they can get behind at least that aspect of it. But you just coming out cold, it's going to be difficult for you to get a foothold in the industry.
Oh, most definitely. And the other thing that I want to caution people against, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but a lot of times people will come to us and they'll say, okay, I know that you've done what I want to do. Now, will you please reveal all the trade secrets that it took you 6 years to learn and just give them all to me for free? I know it took you blood, sweat, and tears and making relationships and trial and error and knowledge and research and you spent your hard-earned money for mentorship and training, but just give me all the information.
Give me the game, baby. I need it today.
And that's not a good way to do anything. You really have to pay your dues. And like I said before, we do want to open this up to some other people that want to get into it, because we know there's guys out there that are passionate about this. But what we're really looking for, though, I think, Anton, is, again, people who are willing to look themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, am I serious enough about this that I'm going to make a considerable financial investment and investment in my time to get the training to really make sure that this is a success? Because the last thing I want to do is give somebody all these tools, and I set you up with fabric books and everything else, and you go out there and it's crickets. Nothing happens, because, like you said, it's not easy to just sell suits.
No, you can throw money at almost anything.
Yeah.
Right. You can throw money at anything. It doesn't really mean it's going to be successful if you, the individual, don't have the work ethic, the drive, the support system, the customer base behind,
the back end information, and you know what, like you said too, the branding. It's there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a handful of people, more than a handful, let's be honest, on social media that are out there now. Yeah,
and shout to those guys. Like,
much respect. We got for trying to get out there and make it happen. Yeah. But sometimes without the branding and without the social proof, without the reviews from customers,
goes a long way.
It's tough. It's really tough to get out there without that. So, there's nothing wrong with maybe trying to link on to somebody else and be part of their brand. You don't always have to have something of your own, especially a lot of brands out there, even like ours, is very small. So let's say you joined our team, you're getting in on the ground floor still, of something that still has a good trajectory. And as I told you before, that's something that people offered to me to join their team. I could have did that, but instead, here we are. We're building our own thing right now. I think, but it may have taken a little longer than people realized. But 6-7 years to get to where we are, I still think we're headed in the right direction.
Definitely, and I don't think that, like you said, if you try to jump steps, a lot of times things are missed. You don't get a certain appreciation, a certain understanding for certain things. And it probably happened at the best time, because you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser. You've experienced some things. You've gotten exposed to the industry a little bit more. And I think that's what some people don't appreciate, is that the time you spend learning is worth it. Right. And some of the mistakes that you make, not that you want to make mistakes, but mistakes happen. Right. But if you jump all the way in, you're dumping money, dumping time, and you just don't have the resources. You don't have the following. You don't have the customer base. I could open up tomorrow and say, hey, I'm Anton, I'm selling suits. It doesn't mean anybody's going to buy them. And they could be they could be the best suits in the world, but it doesn't mean people are going to buy them. So that's what I think people have to understand, that your brand has to have enough of a following. It has to have enough of a backing that's going to substantiate what you're doing.
Yeah. I think, one of my last takeaways for those that really want to get into this is, don't be afraid to be part of a team and ask, what would it take to be involved in this industry? We're not going to lie to you. It can be lucrative financially. But if that's your sole focus, it won't last. You have to really have a passion for this, because I tell you what, it's a roller coaster. There's ups, there's downs, highs and lows, and you have to be ready for that. And just wanting to get rich quick, it's not going to cut it in this industry. This is service-based industry. Yeah. You have to treat every customer, like they're a king and queen. And if you don't have that mindset, you're not going to go very far.
Not at all. No, I agree completely.
Well, guys, I think what we're trying to say is, if you have a serious interest, reach out to us and understand that we'll have a conversation with you. We can help you, guide you, point you in the right direction. But we're not gonna, like we said, totally just lay everything out on a platter and give it to anybody, because that's really not the way to learn anything. There's steps you need to take, and just like anything, you pay your dues, and I think you appreciate it more when you have a little skin in the game as well. So if there's anybody that wants to get involved in this, I will tell you, it's a great industry to be in. It's fun if you're a people person, but if you're in it to get rich quick, pick something else.
This isn't it. Yeah, this isn't it.
Not it. That's not
it.
It's not it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, but definitely stay up to date with the life of a gentleman. Like I said, we're going to come back with a lot more content for you guys. And don't forget about our Unstitched segment, where we loosen up a bit, we battle, and talk about something in the world of fashion or a gentleman's lifestyle. So until next time, guys, take care.